What if every insult rolled off you like water on stone? What if chaos could swirl around you and you'd still remain calm, unshaken, grounded, focused? And what if the secret to this unbreakable inner strength wasn't a mystery, but a skill anyone can learn, including you? Now picture this. Every rude comment, every unexpected setback, every difficult person you encounter, none of it touches you, not in the way it used to. You're still present, still human, still feeling, but no longer enslaved by emotion. You glide through life's storms, not because the storms have disappeared, but because you've mastered the art of sailing through them. It might sound like a fantasy, but it's not. This is what emotional detachment looks like in real life. And by the end of this video, you'll walk away with clear, practical principles rooted in Stoic wisdom that will help you move through chaos with clarity, power, and peace. You've probably seen people like this before. They don't flinch when criticized. They don't crumble under pressure. Their energy is calm, confident, magnetic. You can feel it the moment they walk into a room. But here's the truth they don't tell you. These people aren't born different. They've simply trained their minds to detach, to observe emotions without becoming them. Emotional detachment doesn't mean shutting down or becoming cold. It means stepping back just far enough to choose your response instead of being swept away by reactivity. It's about being the eye of the storm, not the wind that spirals out of control. But let's be honest, most people aren't trained this way. Most people get thrown off by the tiniest annoyances. A passive-aggressive comment, a traffic jam, a phone call that ruins their mood for hours. Sound familiar? We hand over our peace to the most trivial things. And the truth, almost none of it will matter a week from now, let alone 5 years. So why do we let them live rent-free in our heads? Here's where the shift begins. You decide what deserves your emotional energy. You take back control by making a choice. Yes, a choice. Because every reaction is a decision, whether we realize it or not. Let's say someone insults you. Your old reflex might be to snap back, stew in anger, or feel wounded. But what if, just imagine, you calmly smiled, thanked them, and walked away? You didn't flinch. You didn't engage. You didn't give them your peace. What happens then? You take their power away completely. This is the silent strength of emotional detachment. It's not loud, not flashy, but it commands immense respect. Think about the leaders we admire most in history. They're not the ones who scream the loudest. They're the ones who remained composed while others lost control. That calm presence, it's power, pure power. And here's the paradox. The people most desperate for approval tend to be the least emotionally stable. One comment, one rejection, and they spiral. But those who don't need external validation, they're unshakable, free. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your life is driven by needing approval from strangers, co-workers, family? What if tomorrow you simply stopped? Imagine that, waking up and no longer needing anyone to approve your path. Your energy, once spent on chasing validation, now focused like a laser on your purpose. Your presence shifts. You don't need to say a word, people feel it. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. When you know where you're going, noise fades into the background. The next time you face criticism, pause. Ask, does this opinion truly matter to me? If not, let it go. If it does, extract the lesson, discard the sting, and move forward. That's how emotionally detached people grow stronger through every setback. Because for them, every failure is data, every insult is noise, and every emotion is information, not identity. And if that sounds like a superpower, it kind of is. But don't worry, we're just getting started. Because in the next part, we'll break down how to begin practicing emotional detachment in your daily life, starting with the little moments most people ignore. Think about it. The next time you're stuck in traffic, what if instead of getting frustrated, you saw it as a rare opportunity to pause, to breathe, to come back to yourself? That shift, that tiny decision to choose stillness over stress, is where emotional detachment begins. Start with the small stuff. Turn your commute into a mindfulness practice. Turn the noise into silence. The more you do this, the more you'll find that your calm isn't shaken. It expands. And when life throws bigger challenges your way, that same mental muscle will already be strong. A relationship ends. Pause. Breathe. Feel it, yes. But don't let the emotion hijack your mind. Let it pass through you, not define you. Because here's the truth. Emotional detachment doesn't numb your experience. It sharpens it. It allows you to truly feel joy because you're no longer trapped in a constant loop of reaction. You're no longer at the mercy of every inconvenience. Imagine a sailor navigating a storm, not panicking, but calmly adjusting his sails, scanning the horizon, staying the course. That sailor is you. Life will always bring wind and waves, but it's your steadiness at the helm that determines whether you drift or move forward with purpose. And this leads to something deeper. Your internal state shapes your external experience. Ever met someone whose presence alone puts you at ease? Who speaks little but says so much through their grounded energy? That's the quiet power of emotional control. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about having such mastery over your inner world that the outer world begins to bend to your presence, not the other way around. So how do you develop that strength? By making stillness part of your daily routine. Moments of meditation, silent observation, choosing reflection over reaction, choosing calm over chaos. As you do this day after day, you'll notice something profound. The world starts reacting not to your words, but to your energy. And that energy will be calm, unbothered, magnetic. Because real strength, it isn't loud, it doesn't flinch, it doesn't panic or scream. Real strength whispers. It sits in silence. It chooses its words with care. And in that space between stimulus and response is where power lives. So next time something triggers you, pause. Don't react, respond. Let the silence speak for you, because sometimes saying nothing at all is the most powerful move you can make. Now that we've seen how emotional discipline begins with stillness, let's look deeper at how your reactions, not the events themselves, shape the course of your life. Elite athletes, seasoned performers, even world leaders, they all use a secret weapon: mental rehearsal. They visualize pressure-packed moments long before they ever arrive. Why? Because when the moment comes, they've already lived it in their minds. Their bodies stay relaxed. Their decisions stay sharp. Their reactions are not frantic, but calm, calculated, and precise. You can do this too. The next time you're facing a tough situation, whether it's a difficult conversation, a tense meeting, or a personal challenge, don't wait for the pressure to catch you off guard. Mentally rehearse your response. Picture yourself breathing deeply, remaining centered, listening with clarity, responding with precision, not emotion. With time, your brain begins to rewire. Calmness stops being a forced practice. It becomes your natural default. We've all heard the phrase, stay calm under pressure. But how often do we pause to consider what that truly means? To remain calm doesn't mean the absence of pressure. It means you've developed such emotional strength that the external world no longer dictates your internal state. When everyone else panics, you remain the steady center. When voices rise in anger, your silence becomes the loudest sound in the room. That inner calm, it's not weakness, it's your edge. It's the invisible force people admire, trust, and gravitate toward. But here's the strange truth. Many people fear silence. Why? Because silence is uncomfortable. It reveals our thoughts. It exposes our insecurities. But once you learn to sit with it, once you learn to wield it, silence transforms from something awkward to something powerful. In silence, clarity appears. In silence, your real motives rise to the surface. Think of the people you admire most. Are they the loudest in the room? Probably not. They're usually the observers, the thinkers. They speak with intention. Their words carry weight because their silence gives those words space to land. You can develop this power. Begin practicing intentional silence. In your next conversation, when someone pressures you for a quick answer, pause. Let the silence settle. You'll be amazed how that moment rebalances the entire dynamic. You've gone from reacting to leading. And this mastery of silence isn't just for negotiations or heated debates. It's just as crucial in personal relationships. How many times have you regretted saying something in anger? Words that linger longer than they should have. Now imagine instead a heated moment, voices raised, emotions flaring, and you simply pause. You don't lash out. You listen. Your silence says, I care more about understanding than being right. This small act can shift the entire tone of a relationship. It shows compassion. It builds trust. And that, more than any clever comeback, leaves a lasting impact. But emotional mastery doesn't stop at silence. It goes deeper, much deeper. It means learning to let go completely of outcomes you can't control. Let's be honest. Letting go is hard, especially when we've poured time, effort, or heart into something. But clinging to results, endlessly replaying what-ifs, only traps us in the past. Detachment, on the other hand, is freedom. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've accepted reality as it is, not how you wish it were. Think of a time you faced a major disappointment, maybe the loss of a job, a broken relationship, a failed project. Did reliving it again and again ever change the outcome? Or did it just keep you stuck? Now imagine facing that same moment, but instead of spiraling, you acknowledged it, accepted it, and moved forward with clarity. That's emotional detachment in action. It turns pain into wisdom, failure into redirection, chaos into clarity. Take the story of someone who unexpectedly loses their job. It's jarring at first, confusion, fear, self-doubt. But rather than staying stuck, they take a breath. They detach emotionally. They realize this isn't personal, it's a turning point. And in that space, they explore a new career, build a new skill, start something bold. A few months later, they're thriving in a way they never expected. The setback became the setup. That's what detachment offers. Not apathy, but perspective. Not emotionlessness, but freedom. And this detachment, like anything, can be practiced. Begin with mindfulness. Spend 10 minutes a day just observing your thoughts. Watch them rise, shift, and fall like waves. Don't grab onto them. Don't judge them. Just witness. This simple act trains your brain to see emotions as temporary, not truths, not identity, just passing weather. Another tool, journaling. At the end of the day, write down a few moments. When did you react emotionally and when did you respond with clarity? What triggered you and what calmed you? These reflections reveal your patterns and, more importantly, show you how you're evolving. Because emotional detachment isn't a switch. It's a journey, a practice, a muscle you build every day. Now let's move forward to explore how embracing discomfort, rather than avoiding it, can make you even stronger. Emotional detachment, you see, is not a final destination. It's not a point you reach where nothing ever bothers you again. No, it's a discipline, a daily practice. There will still be days when you feel unsettled, when frustration bubbles up, or emotions knock you off balance. And that's okay. The difference now is awareness. You no longer let those moments define you. You recognize emotional turbulence for what it truly is. Not a life sentence, but a signal. Each time you choose not to be reactive, each time you pause, breathe, and respond with clarity, you strengthen your inner foundation. You're not just surviving these moments, you're evolving through them. And then one day, something remarkable happens. You find yourself in a situation that, just months ago, would have wrecked your peace. And yet, you don't flinch. You smile gently. You feel the emotion rise, but it doesn't take over. You remain still, deliberate, and fully present. That right there is true emotional power. It's not dramatic. It's not forceful. It's peaceful, confident, unshakable, completely free from external control. Now imagine waking up each day with that kind of inner clarity, knowing that nothing outside of you can disturb your peace unless you give it permission. No criticism, no setback, no unexpected event holds the power to shake your emotional ground anymore. That's the gift of mastering emotional detachment, and it's not something reserved for a chosen few. It's available to you today, right now. So start where you are. In your next moment of tension, choose calm over chaos. Choose to respond, not react. Choose to let silence be your strength rather than filling space with noise. Each time you make this choice, you're not just avoiding emotional spirals. You're building a mindset that is resilient, clear, and deeply grounded. Have you ever noticed how people seem naturally drawn to calm individuals? It's not coincidence. Calmness radiates strength. It signals stability. It says without a word, I am in control of myself and I will not be moved by trivial storms. People instinctively trust those who demonstrate this kind of emotional steadiness. They gravitate toward them. They listen more closely. They feel safer around them. Just think of the great leaders you admire, philosophers, activists, historical icons. More often than not, their influence wasn't built on volume or intensity. It was rooted in their unwavering presence, their calm conviction, their emotional resilience. They weren't perfect, but they refused to let their emotions hijack their judgment. And because of that, they saw with clarity, acted with precision, and led with impact. Now apply that same wisdom to your own life, especially in your professional world. So many workplace conflicts don't arise from real disagreements, but from emotional reactions, frustration, ego, insecurity. They spiral small problems into full-blown tension. But what if you became the calm one in the room? What if, during a stressful meeting, you were the one who stayed centered? What if, When others became defensive, you chose to pause, speak thoughtfully, and bring the focus back to solutions. Soon enough, your colleagues would notice. Your calmness would speak louder than any speech. You'd be seen as a leader not because of your title, but because of your energy, your presence, your self-mastery. And here's a myth worth breaking. Emotional detachment does not mean shutting down or becoming cold. It doesn't mean you stop caring. In fact, it's the opposite. Detachment gives you the freedom to care better, to be more empathetic, because you're not overwhelmed by someone else's emotions. You can show up fully, compassionately, without being dragged down. You become the anchor, the quiet eye in the middle of someone else's storm. And this power doesn't just improve your outer world, it transforms your inner world. Think of your mind as a garden. If left untended, weeds of worry, anger, and fear will take root. But if you cultivate it, if you choose which thoughts to feed and which to release, you create space for clarity, creativity, and peace to grow. Start noticing emotional weeds. Are you fixated on something you can't control? Are you dwelling in blame, resentment, or anxiety? Pause, acknowledge the emotion, and then let it pass. Don't water it, don't engage it. Instead, redirect your energy toward what builds you. Gratitude, acceptance, and clear next steps. Over time, this practice becomes your new baseline. Let's bring this to a real-world scenario. Imagine you're hit with an unexpected financial blow. Maybe a large expense, a job loss, or an investment gone wrong. The old you, maybe you would have spiraled into panic, but the emotionally detached version of you, you take a breath, you assess the facts, you calmly explore your options. You act, not out of fear, but out of strategy. That moment of stillness becomes your competitive edge. And the same applies to relationships. Think back to your last argument. Did emotions hijack your logic? Did you say something you later regretted? Now imagine responding differently. Imagine hearing something hurtful, and instead of reacting, you observe. You ask yourself, what's really going on here? You listen, not to defend, but to understand. That shift in posture changes everything. It replaces tension with connection. Because the calmest person in the room always holds the power to transform it. And as you build this discipline, something unexpected happens. Your relationships deepen, your mind clears, and life itself begins to feel more navigable. Now let's take this a step further into how discomfort, when embraced intentionally, can become your greatest teacher. Ready? Let's move forward. When you master emotional detachment, something incredible happens. Your relationships deepen, your mind becomes lighter, and life feels richer, not because it's easier, but because you've learned how to stay afloat in emotional storms without drowning. A vital piece of this mastery is recognizing the hidden force behind so many of our emotional reactions, the ego. Most of the time when you feel sudden anger, jealousy, or defensiveness, it's not logic speaking, it's ego screaming. Your ego feels threatened. It flares up, trying to protect a fragile sense of identity. But pause for a moment. Be honest with yourself. Has defending your ego ever brought peace? Has reacting out of pride or insecurity ever truly improved a situation or deepened a connection? More often than not, those reactions leave more damage than clarity. Emotional detachment teaches you to step outside that fragile space. Instead of feeling personally attacked by criticism, you start to see it as just words, data to be evaluated. Instead of taking rejection as a verdict on your worth, you recognize it as a mismatch of values, timing, or needs. And instead of seeing failure as humiliation, you begin to interpret it as essential feedback, something pointing you toward growth. This shift away from ego doesn't make you colder, it makes you wiser. When ego fades, room is created for something much more powerful: genuine self-improvement, healthier relationships, and a profound, unwavering inner peace. One way to strengthen this mindset even further is through the daily practice of gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful ally in building emotional detachment. Why? Because it naturally shifts your mental spotlight away from what's missing toward what's already working. It gently reminds you that peace and happiness come from within, not from perfect circumstances or people or achievements. Even in hard times, someone with a grateful heart will always find a spark. A kind word from a friend, the strength to keep going, the chance to grow. That perspective doesn't eliminate difficulty, but it transforms how you move through it. Suddenly, obstacles become teachers. Stress becomes manageable. Your emotional center stays grounded, no matter the external chaos. Another key outcome of emotional detachment: you develop healthier, more respectful boundaries. Because you're no longer reacting out of fear or frustration, you can assert your limits calmly and clearly. There's no need to shout, no passive-aggressive undertones, just quiet certainty. And that kind of clarity, it earns respect. People start to notice and honor your emotional space because you enforce it not with drama, but with consistency. And here's a beautiful ripple effect. Emotional detachment doesn't just improve your inner world, it supercharges your outer performance. Why? Because when your mind isn't hijacked by emotional noise, it can focus deeply. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become simple. Ideas flow more freely. Creative solutions emerge. You're no longer constantly recovering from emotional whiplash. Your productivity rises, not through force, but through clarity. To keep yourself anchored in this mindset, build simple daily rituals. This might be morning journaling, a 10-minute walk without your phone, deep uninterrupted focus on a passion project, mindful breath work, or even listening to calming music while doing something creative. These routines act as anchors, returning your mind to stillness again and again. Over time, they train your nervous system to stay balanced even in high-stress moments. They teach you that peace isn't a place you visit, it's a state you build. At its core, emotional detachment is more than a technique. It's a way of being, a philosophy. It teaches us to favor clarity over chaos, presence over panic, and choice over impulse. The more you practice it, the more everything in your life begins to change. You stop being swept away by the tide. Instead, you become the one shaping the current. Friends begin to notice. They see the way you handle challenges, the way you stay calm when others spiral, the quiet confidence you carry, and they'll start asking, "What's your secret?" That's the power of emotional mastery. It transforms not just your experiences, but your character. It makes you dependable, wise, and deeply respected, not because you seek approval, but because you've earned it. So ask yourself now, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? One of emotional reactivity or one of calm, steady strength? Every day, every moment offers you that choice. Will you react or respond? Will you defend your ego or rise above it? Will you fall into the noise or stay rooted in clarity? The answer lies in your next decision, and then the next. Because every calm response becomes a brick in the foundation of a life built on resilience, wisdom, and peace. And if this message resonated with you, if you're ready to continue building key,